Hey there, pharmacy owners. It is question and answer time. I've been getting a bunch of questions and trying to respond to you, whichever channel you messaged on, but I thought I would also post some answers publicly because I think it's good for all pharmacy owners to hear. So the first question is, what is the number one thing that you recommend a pharmacy to do first to improve their business? Kind of a loaded question in the sense that there's probably 1,000 things that you can choose, right? Everything from, changing your buying habits, which will lower your cost of goods, which will increase cash flow, increase profitability, to, hiring people, firing people, all those kinds of things. But here is my response. Here's the first thing that I do in every pharmacy I've ever owned, I've ever managed, ever have done consulting for. People pay me, $2,500 a month to get this advice. So here's the first thing I do, and then I will tell you why. It is to start the thank you card program. And the thank you card program is a super simple program. And because of that, people overlook the power and the kind of domino effect that it has on your pharmacy business. So really quick, I'll give you an overview on the thank you card program. The thank you card program is every employee, doesn't matter who you are, delivery driver, clerk, cashier, tech, whatever, if they're an employee, every shift you work, you do one thank you card to a patient. Now, it can actually broaden beyond patients to prescribers and things like that, but let's just stick with the patient. So if you have 5 employees and they all work on Monday, then there should be 5 thank you cards. Right? So the rule that I have is your thank you cards must be caught up by the end of the week. Today, I'm happy to be recording this on the day after Labor Day, one of the busiest days in the year, right? You're closed Monday, it's the first of the month, and so now you've got a Tuesday where you're doing, the first of the month, Monday's work and Tuesday's work. Like, it's a busy ass day. I get it. It's okay if you don't send your thank you cards today. But by Friday or Saturday, whenever that last day shift is, they should all be caught up by the end of the week. So that's the thank you card program. Now, what goes out on the thank you cards, I'll touch really quickly on that. I recommend simple, this thank you card that I got from my Dream Tape company. Simple card, logo on the front, so that way it's blank on the back and you can write whatever message you want. And I call them thank you cards because most of the time it's like, hey, thank you for choosing our pharmacy. We appreciate you. Can't wait to see you again. Super generic message. But it could also be happy birthday. Welcome back from vacation. I'm sorry your dog Fluffy is sick. I hope she gets better soon. Like, whatever can be on the back of it. So you could also just have a generic actual thank you. But I recommend your logo on one side, and that way you kind of have it blank on the other side, and you can put whatever you want on it. Now, so again, every employee, every shift goes out. Snail mail, okay? These are actually written, stamped, like in the mailbox. It makes a difference. So I recommend an envelope that is brightly colored. You can match your pharmacy colors or not, but bright yellow, bright orange, bright red, bright blue. Those envelopes are getting opened. They're not getting, dumped in the trash. So that's the thank you card program. But why? Why do I recommend this? For the first thing you do out of all the things you could do in a pharmacy to improve it, why is this the linchpin, the number one thing? Several reasons, and it actually goes quite deep. One, starts creating goodwill in your community, right? Like, it starts to differentiate your pharmacy from all the other ones that don't give any personal touch. They might treat patients nice and all those kinds of things, but they're just another, cog in the wheel of business. So the thank you card program will start to distinguish you and make you different than the other pharmacies. It starts to create goodwill as you eventually start to want to grow your pharmacy or to sell more to your patients. Planting that seed of goodwill and trust and an emotional tie to you is important for those future success of those programs to, make more money and grow within your community. So that's kind of like the patient side. Obviously, if you move over to prescribers, it kind of does the same thing with prescribers. But let's shift. One of the biggest impacts is actually for your employees. If you were starting a journey to change your pharmacy, right? You want it to be more profitable. You want it to be less chaotic. You want it to run and function without you. That's what I teach in Pharmacy Badass University. You have to start changing the culture and the behavior of yourself and your entire staff. And so the thank you card program is a really easy program that gets them practicing implementing new behaviors and new changes. You're tracking, you're holding them accountable. It's not hard. It literally takes 60 seconds. If they work 5 shifts a week, then it'll take 5 minutes, in total for the week. But you're starting to create a cadence of expectations, of follow through, of accountability, and feedback. Because what will start to happen doesn't necessarily happen with the first thank you card, but what will start to happen is your employees will start to get feedback from patients saying, that was so sweet. A little old lady comes in. I remember my favorite patient, Jeannie, the very first thank you card we ever sent her, she kept in her purse for years. She always had it in her little pocket. Like that kind of impact when your employees get that, there's nothing better, right? It gets them addicted to making people happy, which is good for you. But really the thank you card, as much of a positive impact that'll have on your patients and the growth and future success of your pharmacy, I think the fundamental shift is it starts to create that culture change. I'm not very good at like woo-woo emotions and things like that. And so I only know how to do by like doing. And so for me, the thank you card program helps start to shift that culture, get people, start to raise expectations, them start to meet those expectations, feel good about meeting those expectations, get the positive feedback from patients, and then continue to do it again. And so for me, that's honestly why I start with the thank you card program is, yes, you're starting to create goodwill and emotional ties with your patients and community, but it is starting to make that fundamental shift in your pharmacy. If you can't get an employee to successfully implement the thank you card program, you're not going to get them to implement drug-induced nutrient depletion, inventory control, therapy optimization. You're not going to get them to do the more advanced stuff, right? Like thank you card program is kindergarten work, right? So if you can't get them successful, then that's, it's giving you some insight into those employees. Most of the time, I don't have that issue. I don't think most of you will either. Most of us have really great employees. We just need to figure out how to optimize them. And so that's why I start with the thank you card program. It's good for the community, good for the patients, good for you and your team, starting to change that culture. I also bonus off the thank you card program. Every one of my employees who successfully does 100% of their thank you cards, it's a $200 bonus at the end of the month. And I've had many people say, oh my gosh, that's so much. It might be, I tend to be sometimes a little generous, but because I know how important it really is, like the linchpin, it's the cornerstone. If you want to build this continually profitable pharmacy that runs without you, that doesn't have massive dumpster fires every day, you have to have something as the cornerstone, right? And the thank you card program is that cornerstone. So if I can train them and get them excited about meeting those goals and staying consistent with it, I can pretty much guarantee that I'll be able to get them to do it with other programs as well. So that's it. That is the answer to my question. It's really critical. It's a simple program. So many of you have probably heard me talk about it and have probably overlooked it. And you're like, damn, I didn't understand. It really does go deeper than just, let's make people happy and send thank you cards. Because it really does lead. It is the first domino, right? You watch those shows with the big domino things, like it's the first domino. You can't start all the other change until you knock over that first domino. And so the thank you card program is that first domino. And if you need help with yours, if you want all your supplies, if you want all your training program, it is the first thing we do inside Pharmacy Badass University for our Essentials and Up members. I actually send you a whole thank you card kit with your logo, your cards, stamps, the training workbook, like everything you need. I actually send it to you when you join Essentials membership in Pharmacy Badass University, because that's how much I know it's going to change your life and change your pharmacy, that I invest in you. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and thank you for submitting that question, and I will try to do some more of these. So talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.